private sector, which can respond much faster than the government can respond. And after all, FEMA was not there to fix the Gulf Coast accident. It was there to manage the fixing thereof. And so the role of government, I think, is more one of management, and the fact that we feel strained in the management process doesn't mean that we should necessarily discourage synergy with the private sector, because it's the entrepreneurial thinking of the smaller businesses that are going to step up and take on. Katrina was a weapon of mass destruction.
I think that's a really good example, and I think that's a good example of the way if we had excellent, high-level managers to do that. What we're seeing, though, well, first of all, the FEMA job is an appointed job, and it has been a patronage job for a long time, and people haven't been happy with FEMA. That's maybe one of the positions where we should have professional managers and not have it be every time we get a new president, we get a new FEMA person, and also a few times in between, because the appointment was that. You know, I'm not against business doing work for the government. I just think that there has to be a good realization that they're working for the government, and the government's the boss, and the government says, this is what we need you to do, this is the contract, and that's not what we see. What we see is the contractors coming in and doing the government functions, and frankly, the government losing track of what the contractor is supposed to be doing, what the contractor has done, where we're going, how many dollars have we paid, what was it we were getting in the first place from you. And, you know, I just think that that's what leads to the fraud. When I was in the Army, okay, we'd get up and we'd go to the mess hall and have breakfast, and every morning you had to take your turn. I mean, everyone had to take their turn working in the mess hall, peeling potatoes. I mean, that's really what you do, okay? And sergeants were the cooks, and supply sergeants ordered the food, enlisted people washed the dishes, you took your turns, but now they privatized the mess halls, okay, and auditors consistently find waste, you know, in mismanagement, but the contractors are doing things that maybe the government should be taking care of and could be taking care of. It's that kind of thing. I think if we had the public morality that bred the trust that we need in government, we would also have the public morality that would breed contractors that would be trustworthy working for government as well. So, I mean, it's maybe part of the whole big picture.
That's bullet, I love it. You know, profile a Christian civil servant.
Right. Or a Christian contractor, for that matter. Okay? And actually, I, on purpose, put Christ-like values there instead of Christian values, because, like, on purpose, because I'm a little dismayed sometimes with what's been happening with all the talk about Christian values, and do we even know what we mean by them? And when we mean them, we don't mean some political figure or group of people or party. I mean Christ-like, as in, what would Jesus do? I don't know, what kind of government would Jesus want? I'll go real political on you. I don't think he'd be building a big wall down around the border in Mexico.
Let's take this as our last question.
I guess kind of going with what we've been talking about, if we have, I guess as Mr. Fallon's been talking about, you know, managers that are efficient and able to do their job, I guess in some ways I would see that as being more cost effective if we were able to train them to do their jobs, manage their contracts, as opposed to training a large army of public servants who do the smaller jobs that these businesses are doing. And I'll give you an example. In my area, I know the county supervisor for the roads, and they brought in a private company to pave a large stretch of road and they did it in under a week. Now, in talking to him, that road, when paved by the county, took over 2 months to pave and was much more expensive based on the equipment they had available to them, the training that the men had. So when you brought in a private company, it was done much faster, much more efficiently, much more cost effectively. And so, I mean, should we be putting our efforts into training a large army of public servants or well-qualified, highly trained, and effective managers?
That's a good question, and I could go either way if that's what we could have. But frankly, I don't think we get either. We don't have the good managers in government, or we need integrity and trust in both. And I think, too, it can depend on the context. You know, maybe in larger urban areas or for certain kinds of services, it might be more cost-effective to have the army of civil servants providing them, because they're the same services that have to be provided year in and year out. Okay? And then maybe other jobs that are one time here and another time over here, it makes more sense to contract them. So that's what I mean. We need this dialogue. What do we want government to do? What jobs? And I am really serious about this inherently governmental function job. I've seen it myself, where we bring in contractors to do certain things, and they end up making decisions that really are government policy decisions that, and the funny part is that it doesn't occur what we've done here. I think we've got to be mindful of that kind of thinking, but I can go either way on it, okay? I'm just frustrated, first of all, that there's not even much thought about it. And secondly, the values or lack thereof that seem to come to the discussion, frankly.
Josh?
Ray, would like to just thank you for the time that you took